talking about the NFL with five-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, a nominee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nominee, just let's throw that out the window. Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, Luke Kuechly. How are you? What's going on?
Would you like to? Good. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm good. I don't think you're so good because I'm going to give you like some real tough ones today, okay? I know you got your notes. You're very diligent. You're very thoughtful, very mindful about everything. But these Cowboys, we got to fix them because now you're not just part of the Panthers ecosystem. You're part of the health of the entire NFL relies on this team giving us something, at least in the regular season, and taking a 38-point loss at home where you're notoriously better to the Lions is crazy. Jerry says it's concerning. He's not considering a coaching change. What'd you make of that?
I think losing at home the way they have this year, I'm sure is something that they didn't anticipate coming into the season. But you look at them on the offensive side of the ball, and that's kind of where they have all their money tied up. Dak and CD, obviously, this offseason. I think the one thing that's hurt them is they haven't really been able to run the ball, and a lot of the offense has been put on Dak's shoulders this year. It says, hey, we got rid of Zeke a couple years ago, and then we had Tony Pollard come in, and he was a really good player. We didn't go get a guy in free agency with Derrick Henry. There was a big conversation about that. And quite frankly, I think the defense has struggled this year. And with no run game, everything's been put on Dak's shoulders. And I think, I'd be lying if I didn't say that. I'm sure he feels the pressure to know if we don't go down and score touchdowns and put points up on the board, we're going to have a very difficult time winning games.
There was no juice, Luke. How insulting is that as somebody who played to be said that you don't have juice, or there can't be. What's worse than that? Being called soft probably is worse than that. But no juice is that's a huge indictment, and that's what it looked like last night.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Well, you looked at Detroit running the ball, and I think when you say no juice, that's a decision that you make before you go play the game. How hard am I going to play? How much energy are we going to have? And ultimately, that's what juice is. So yeah, I think. If you just get beat and a guy runs by you, that's one thing. If you get out schemed, sometimes that happens. But if you don't bring the energy and you don't bring the passion and you don't bring what everyone's talking about, the juice, that's a decision that gets made by the players. And that's something that you don't want to hear about in the locker room is, hey, you guys didn't play with any juice. But I tell you what, Detroit's offensive line is really good. They're physical. They run the ball. They pop 5, 6, 7, 8-yard runs. It seems like every other play. Dallas hasn't played great defensively, and they haven't played great offensively as well. But I think a lot of it, too, is I think Detroit might just be really good.
I like that take. But the Cowboys are 3-3. So to me, and I know we're not, and their defense is not great.
Yeah.
If your defense isn't great, then you really got to commit to the run. Because you got to just keep your defense off the field. They're not doing that. If they're not committing, but I don't understand what's so hard about committing to the run. I want to understand. I want to have compassion for this. But to me, I'm like, we got to run. We're not running. Coordinator change, potentially. Is that something that you would be shocked to see?
I think it comes down to who's calling plays. If Mike McCarthy's calling plays, I don't think you can really make a coordinator change. I don't see him handing over play calling duties, but you're 100% right. If you're struggling on defense, the offense has to slow the game down, limit possessions, don't go quickly 3 and out. And I think you have the ability to commit to the run and run the ball early in the game when it's close. And if you run it on first down and you get 2 yards and you run it again on second down and get 2 and it's 3rd and 6 and you punt, that's when it gets challenging because it's 3 and out, ball back to Detroit. They go down, score. You get the ball again, 3 and out. They go down and score. And now you're like, man, we can't really run the ball because we're down 2 scores. We can't get stops on defense. We have to go down and score points. And then it just slowly starts to deteriorate as the game goes on. And they're in a difficult spot and not too dissimilar to where my Panthers are right now, where we feel like we got to score every drive because we've been so banged up on the defensive side of the ball. And you talked about it already on the show today with Micah Parsons being out, Kendricks was out. They're hurting right now on the defensive side of the ball.
Cowboys fans are going to collectively lose their minds when this clip goes out and you say they're in the same spot as my Panthers, who made a quarterback.
It sounded bad.
No, but it's not, it's not nothing against the Panthers, but two teams in very different situations. The Cowboys, They got to go to a Super Bowl and win it. And you're saying they're having the same problems as the Panthers.
Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, they've had a difficult time, and they've struggled at home. They've given up 30 plus on multiple occasions. They played the Saints, and Saints scored over 40 on them. Detroit scores over 40 on them, and you wonder, is that offensive style difficult for them? You look at what the Saints do. Kubiak, they're going to run it sideways. They're going to shift. They're going to motion. It's wide zone. It's mid zone. It's heavy play action. That's kind of what Detroit is. So you look at what they have next week as well. Obviously, they go into the bye week. They're going to see a very similar offense with the Niners. So you'd like to say, hey, we saw it this past week. Hopefully we can make adjustments and fix it going forward.
Brian Schottenheimer not calling plays. McCarthy is. But if I'm correct, I think I'm correct, Schottenheimer's sort of history as a play caller does lean on the run. He likes the run. He commits to the run. So maybe there is at least a conversation, or maybe there is some sort of adjustment where Schotty, I don't know how to say it, I'm going to get killed on the internet probably, but just maybe lends a hand more in making that happen. This is a team that we need to is this a playoff team? Is this team going to the playoffs?
Take a book from Joe Burrow. Right now, they don't look like a playoff team, but they have guys in their team that can take them there. And they're 3-3. They're going into a bye week. Obviously, the NFC East is a little bit up for grabs. I think Washington's a pretty daggone good team, but 7 playoff teams. You just got to go into the bye week. You're 3-3, make some adjustments, and then second half of the season, make a push.
I love the Lions. All morning, I'm like, Lions. And then I know I'm like having to get to the Aidan part. And he's out. Maybe he'll be back if they make a run. I'm reading your face right now.
It bums you out. Like, as a football fan, he embodies that team, that city, that organization, Dan Campbell. He is that. Went to school in Michigan. Got drafted by the Lions, was there when they started to turn that place around. He's not like a pretty pass rusher. He doesn't have a million moves. He is physical. He plays really hard. His effort and his tenacity are fantastic. And it bums me out. I mean, obviously it stinks for the fan base, organization, the guys in the team, but you can tell how much he loves playing football. And when something like that happens, it just hurts my heart when these guys can't keep playing. It just bums me out.
What does this defense look like without him? How big of a knock is it? Do they have the depth? Give me the nitty gritty, the lingo I'll kind of sort of understand. Go ahead, Luke.
I don't think that they've got another guy on the other side that can go get you 8 to 10 sacks.
Yeah.
Which I think is okay, because it's going to be, all right, Aaron Glenn, let's see how we can manufacture some sacks from some different guys. I mean, they're not going to replace the 10 that he's going to get the rest of the season with one guy, but can they get one from Anzalone? Can they get one from Campbell as an off the ball player? They got a couple guys. Aleen McNeil has really come on. Can DJ Reader go steal you one on a third down? Can you draw up a pressure from Brian Branch out of the slot? And then before you know it, you got 6-7 sacks that you're relying on from Aidan Hutchinson. Obviously he had a pretty substantial injury, but if I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm like, hey, Aidan, whenever you can, whatever capacity you can do, we'd love to have you around the facility as much as you can, just because I feel like his personality is probably infectious and the guys love him, and I'm sure it'll be helpful for him in his rehab. I know being hurt stinks, but the more you're around the guys, the better you do as a player. But also, I just think that his energy in general is still going to be helpful for that team.
Is it easier to manufacture sacks than it is to manufacture leadership and energy?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think you have your leaders on your team that are who they are. Yeah. We had Thomas Davis and Greg Olsen, Ryan Khalil and Cam. And if you told me, hey, you got to go replace 10 tackles and a sack and blah, 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 because Thomas isn't playing. I'm like that's going to be tough, but we'll figure it out. If you told us, hey, Thomas can't come in the building the rest of the year, I'd be like, that's a problem. And I'm sure it's the same way with him.
Okay, all in all, net, right? You have his production, we can't pretend it's like they're so much better than everybody because the NFC North looks crazy. Should they pick up the phone? And I don't know who's representing. No, we don't need this yet. I don't know who's representing Hassan Reddick right now. CAA parted ways with him. I don't know what he's thinking. Do they pick up the phone? Do they call the Raiders? Do they try to get Max Crosby? Do they try to figure out a way with Hassan Reddick, who I'm being told has Rosenhaus, I believe, taking his calls?
If you put Max Crosby on that team, I think it'd be awesome for this year. And then could you imagine those two guys moving forward being on the same team? That would be unbelievable. How cool would that be?
Okay, to every Lions fan, just look at Luke's
so
face.
cool.
This is the most Luke has smiled in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Look at, do you think it's...
You just got those guys play so hard.
Yeah. Max Crosby went to Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, didn't he go to Eastern Michigan?
Yep.
Was that it?
Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
Wait, let's get this in the works. Although Max, he's got that tattoo. He's saying he doesn't want to move. So we're not going to speculate. We're just dreaming.
How Aidan is as Aidan is as a Detroit Lion, Max is a Raider.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't imagine him somewhere. And he's happy and he's great there. I probably shouldn't have even said that. Okay, but I do want to look at those odds that we just looked at because it's squeaky, this NFC North. There's not much room here. After week 6, the Vikings are on a bye. Lions, Bears, Packers, they all get big wins. 4 wins at least a piece. Pick one team out of these 4 that you have the most faith in right now to make a run.
Ooh. I'm going to say Detroit because they've done it before. And then
now you can't pick 2. You're picking 1.
I know. I'm gonna go Detroit. I'm gonna go Detroit right now. I love Dan Campbell.
Even without Aidan Hutchinson, you're still picking Detroit.
I'm gonna go Detroit right now.
All right, I love it.